How does a chair keep rocking long after the man who built it is gone, whispering secrets you never knew he held? My name is Marge Holloway, and I live in a small house just outside Savannah, Georgia, where the nights wrap around you like a heavy blanket. It was a quiet October evening when I sat in my living room, drifting in my armchair with a quilt slipping off my lap. The stillness pressed against my chest until a soft creak woke me up. The sound was slow and steady, like a heartbeat from long ago, coming from the porch. I recognized it as the old rocking chair my husband George made, its worn-wood groaning as if someone was sitting there. I shuffled to the window and peeked through the lace curtains, yellowed by years. I half hoped to see his shape with broad shoulders and a glowing pipe, but I saw only the chair swaying gently in the breeze, touched by moonlight. George passed away 15 years ago in 2010 when a stroke took him fast and quiet, leaving me this house and a lifetime of memories. He used to sit in that chair every evening, rocking slowly while he told stories to our grandkids as cicadas hummed outside. Our son Paul and daughter Jenny would lean on the porch rail, laughing at his tales. The grandkids Emily, Sam, and little Clara would sprawl on the steps, listening wide-eyed to his adventures about wartime mistakes and fishing trips gone wrong. Now the porch feels empty with the kids spread across Georgia and the grandkids busy with their own lives. Thanksgiving is a week away, their first visit together in years, but that creak tonight pulled me back to George. I pulled my shawl around me, grabbed my cane, and stepped onto the porch. The cool air bit at my knees. The chair kept rocking, its joints squeaking, paint peeling from years of sun and rain. I murmured, "You're a mess, old thing," and ran my hand along the armrest, feeling George's rough touch in the wood. It needed fixing with loose bolts and a wobble I couldn't ignore before the kids arrived. I lifted the cushion to check the frame, and a dull thud stopped me. A small wooden box sat there, tucked underneath, with a shaky G scratched on top that I knew was his mark. My breath caught, and my fingers shook as I opened it. Inside were letters, yellowed and crisp, tied with worn twine in George's blocky writing. I sat down in the chair, and its creak settled under me as I pulled the top letter out. It started, "Marge, if you read this, I'm gone, and you found my hiding spot." A laugh escaped me, rough and wet, while tears blurred the page. He always teased me for poking around, and now he'd caught me from beyond, his humor still sharp as ever. The night grew wide, and the chair swayed as if he sat there still. I held the box close, a thread to days I thought were lost. Paul, Jenny, and the grandkids would fill this place soon, but these letters were George speaking through time. I planned to mend the chair, but his words would fix something more, a part of me I didn't know was worn. I pressed them to my heart. The creak became a song, and I felt him near, not lost, just waiting in the shadows. Morning light poured into my Savannah kitchen the next day, shining on the table where George's letters lay spread out like a path to old times. I had stayed up late reading them, listening to the rocking chair's creak until my eyes hurt. He built that chair for my 50th birthday in 1995, a solid gift of oak and nails. His hands were steady despite the years, and we celebrated with iced tea and family cheers. In the summers after, it became our center. Paul and Jenny lounged on the porch while the grandkids tumbled at our feet, and George's voice carried tales of army mix-ups and fish that got away. Those nights tied us close, a family held by his gentle rocking. Now, with Thanksgiving close, I touched his words, each page pulling me back to him. The first letter from 1968 stopped me cold. It was about Paul's birth, a long, scary labor with blood and fear. George wrote, Marge, I thought I'd lose you both. I prayed until my knees hurt. You're my steel, always were. My throat tightened. I remembered his face when Paul was safe, tear-streaked and bright, a man opened by joy. Another letter glowed with the grandkids. Emily's first steps, Sam's crooked smile, Clara's squeal as he swung her up. He wrote, "These little ones are my fight." Then 1975 hit hard. The lumber yard collapse. He wrote, "I lost it all, Marge. Sank our savings and hid it because I couldn't face you. I borrowed from Ed and hauled freight at night to cover it. You never knew." I froze, my coffee growing cold. That year, he came home late with a tired face. I baked extra to stretch our food, thinking times were just tough. We skipped meat some weeks, and Paul wore patched shoes until spring. I blamed bad luck, not knowing George carried a secret load to shield us from his shame. I walked to the porch where the chair sat still, its creak silent now. Did Paul feel those hard years? Did Jenny notice the strain? They were small then, but George's effort showed in them. Paul's toughness, Jenny's fire. I wanted to share this at Thanksgiving, show his struggles and strength. The grandkids, especially Emily, should know the man behind the stories. But I wondered, would Paul see weakness instead of courage? Would Jenny brush it off as old news? I stood there, my cane tapping the floor, recalling 1975's winter. Paul had a fever, and we couldn't afford a doctor. George stayed up all night, rocking him, promising better days. I thought it was just rough times, not his fall. Now his letters felt warm in my pocket, a truth I'd bring to them. The chair waited, watching it all, and I knew, perfect or not, George's story was ours, carved into every rock, ready to spill when they came home. Thanksgiving arrived in Savannah with a golden chill, filling the air with the sound of family and the warm smell of sage and turkey. I had spent days getting ready by polishing forks, simmering gravy, and fixing George's rocking chair with tightened bolts and a steady frame. The letters from his hidden box stayed in my apron pocket, feeling like a quiet hum against my side as Paul, my son, and Jenny, my daughter, pulled up in their cars. Dust kicked up around them, and the grandkids spilled out. Emily, now 22 with a calm way about her, followed by Sam and Clara, both teenagers stretching into their own shapes. The house grew loud with voices and quick hugs, a fullness it hadn't felt in years. After dinner, we moved to the porch as the evening cooled, and I settled into the chair. It creaked under me. I said, "I found something," and pulled the letters out with hands steady despite a slight shake. The kids sat on the steps, Paul leaned on the rail, and Jenny took a spot close to me, her eyes bright with interest. I started, "These are your dad's words from long ago," and read the one from 1968 about Paul's birth, George's fear when I nearly didn't make it. Sam grinned and said, "Grandpa was mushy." Paul crossed his arms, his jaw tight. I kept going to 1975, the lumberyard collapse. I said, "He lost everything and hid it to keep us safe. He worked nights so we wouldn't feel the pinch." Paul interrupted with a rough voice. "He kept us safe? That sounds like a coward's excuse. He left you to wonder why we barely got by." His words cut sharp, and the porch fell quiet. Clara's eyes widened, and Jenny's hand stopped moving in the air. I replied softly but firm, "He wasn't perfect. He carried it for us." Paul stepped closer, his tone rising. "He carried it?" In 1975, I stood in the rain at that ball game waiting for him. He was working. I thought he didn't care. Now you say it's because he couldn't face us. His voice broke, showing a boy's old pain. Emily stood up, her calm breaking the tension. She said, "Wait, Dad. There's more." She ran inside and came back with a worn journal, its pages thin and fragile. I found this in the garage last summer. It's Grandpa's writing. She opened it, and George's words spilled out. Lost the yard today. Marge can't know. She'd break. I borrowed from Ed and hauled freight at night. Paul needs cleats, not my failure. They're my world. Paul took the journal and read slowly. His breath caught. He skipped my game to pay for it, he muttered. I thought he forgot me. Emily nodded. He didn't. He fought quietly and kept us whole. The silence grew long. Paul's eyes followed the ink, then met mine. I never saw it. I thought he was stone, not bending. I reached out. He bent till he broke for us. Jenny smiled. He was a stubborn fool. Sounds familiar. I laughed and knocked over the tea pitcher, splashing the chair. I'm still a klutz, I said, and Clara giggled. Grandma's the mess. The air loosened up, laughter bubbling. Paul's hand found mine, a quiet sorry in his grip. We sat with the chair creaking, George's truth weaving through us. Flawed, fierce family. His fight wasn't perfect, but it was ours, laid open under the stars. Savannah dusk wrapped us gently after that Thanksgiving clash, the porch glowing with the chair's creak and the murmur of family coming back together. Paul stayed late, holding a screwdriver to fix a bolt I'd missed, his voice low. I missed how hard he tried. I thought he was bigger than life, not human. I nodded and watched him while the grandkids' chatter floated from the kitchen, where Jenny guided them through cleaning dishes. Emily stepped out, waving George's journal. More gold here. Grandpa's a legend. I smiled as the night warmed with their voices. Morning brought us all to the porch. Sam grabbed paint, Clara sanded edges. Paul and Jenny oiled joints until the chair rocked smooth as glass. Emily sat in it, reading George's army antics and fishing flops, her voice a thread pulling us close. The kids laughed and gasped. Paul sat by me and said, I'm sorry I got mad, Mom. I didn't see his side. I patted his arm. We all miss things. He gave us time to learn. Jenny brushed sawdust off her hands. I remember when he fixed my bike after I crashed it racing Sam. He worked all night and never said a word. Paul grinned. He patched my glove too because I wouldn't. He was stubborn like me. Clara plopped beside me, small for 15. Tell us one, Grandma, like Grandpa did. I started the boot fishing tale, my voice creaky but full, their giggles rising like sparks in the twilight. The chair's creak mixed in, a steady heartbeat, George's hands in the wood, his love in the sway. Sam asked, He's still here, right? I chuckled. Oh, he's rocking and laughing at my version. Paul squeezed my shoulder. He'd love this, us together. Jenny nodded. He taught us tough goes with tender. Took me years to see. Later, alone, I sat with the letters as the house hushed, the creak faint as I rocked. George's words danced, his fears, his grit, a night in 1975 when he wrote, Marge'll never know. She keeps us strong. I saw it now, Paul's patched shoes, Jenny's bike, meals stretched thin. Not just hard times, but his fight to hold us. Perfect is a lie. It's the cracks, his silence, Paul's hurt, my blindness, that make us dear. I tucked the box away, a treasure safe, and rocked, the sound a bridge across years. The grandkids' voices lingered, Paul's amends, Jenny's nod to his lessons, George's echo in them all. Ever see an old thing whisper your family's soul, cracked and whole? That's what he left. This chair, these lives, a creak binding us, timeless and true.